We're going to start this puppy up. Clear? Prop?
And welcome back to Tip of the Week. Have you ever considered who invented the ultralight, or who is responsible for the modern day ultralight? Well, in fact, there was a person, and maybe you already know this, but maybe you didn't. It was just 47 years ago, practically to this day, in 1975. I know we have a bunch of youngsters out there, but for those of you who were around in 1975, John Moody, in a southwest area of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, took off in what would be the very first powered hang glider that was able to launch from flat terrain. There had been others that had done hang gliding and had some motors on it, but he was the first one to launch it from the ground. And the rest is history. Just the other year, I was at the Sun and Fun Air Show down in Lakeland, Florida, and I got to meet Dave Edwards. Dave is the creator of the Affordaplane. And when I met him, he was kind enough to say, "Do you want to meet John Moody?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" Well, what you're about to watch is, and there's a little bit of tough audio, but that'll clear up in a bit, so get over it. You'll get to hear from John Moody, who is still alive and kicking and is responsible for the ultralights that we are now engaged with. This was before there was Part 103, and there's a really fun section in there where he got into a bit of a fight with the FAA, not a fist fight, but back then there was no Part 103, and so the FAA sees this guy flying this glider around just like it's an aircraft, and they're like, "Whoa, you got to register that." And he's like, "No, I don't have to register this." And out of all of that came Part 103. Well, I'll let you be the judge. Let's watch.
All right, I call this talk the 3 Whys of ultralights. Ultralights. My 3 Whys, I should say. Not the letter Y, but the word Y. W-H-Y. Why I got into flying, why I chose to get the Icarus hang glider, and why I added power to it. So, and sometimes I've given this talk at a safety seminar, and I throw in a few lessons learned from ultralights as we go along. Anyway, I was a typical kid. I like model airplanes. I especially like gliders, where you remember those ones where the wings folded back and you shot them 50 feet in the air with a rubber band, and when they reach their apex, the wings unfold and you fly out of the neighbor's roof. I always enjoyed that. But when I was 13 years old, I was a general class radio amateur, a ham, and there was a guy in our church who had a Cub. So he became interested in the radio amateur, and then he took me for my first airplane ride in his J3 Cub. And I was definitely hooked from then on. I got some rides now and then. I got a ride every chance I could get. But then nothing much happened until around 1966, after I was married and had my second daughter, second child. I took a ground school, and I passed the written test just fine for my private, but the money only lasted for 2 hours solo in the airplane. I ran out of money and nothing much happened after that except desires. One time I would like to have been an airline captain. However, at that time, the restriction was you had to be 5'6", and as you can see, I'm a little altitude challenged at 5'4". We're actually flying now. Retract the landing gear. Keep the posterior up. And we get. I should have just gone straight, but I was kind of cockeyed to the field to begin with, and the wind just took me off to the side, which is fine by me. I don't want to get my airplane dirty. And said there's kids on bicycles, there's people on by the road with the cars. It was an attention getter for sure. So I also noticed my airplane seemed to want to always go to one side. Well, it did, but I thought the one reason was because I didn't realize it was the torque of the engine. Here I am filling my fuel tanks through the fuel gauge. So I said, well, let's add a little fabric to the trailing edge of the rudder so I get more control. But I finally realized what I needed to do was just tilt the engine about 2.5 degrees to one side, so it's not straight perpendicular to the airplane. So one wing would fly slightly ahead of the other, produce a little more lift because of all the dihedral, and that takes care of the torque of the engine. So that worked out like that. That's what the modelers do. All right, now here. Change from the 10-horse West Bend engine to the 12-horse McCulloch engine. Put some streamlining on my struts. And here we are, the first flight at an airport. Anyway, here we are at an airport, and you'll see the big difference in how this machine works. All right. There's the takeoff, retract the landing gear. Now, by the way, I got nothing holding me in this airplane. Just me, my armpits, and my feet. Duh. Not smart. But hey, you're young, you tried it, and it's only been a short flight anyway. Now, there have been times when people tried doing that, and their arms went to sleep and they fell out and got killed. But if you do it right, actually, your weight's on the back of your back and on your feet, not on your armpits. So it's really not dangerous, except for the fact that if for some reason you let go, you're dead. I said, no, I'm flying a powered hang glider. Hang gliders are not regulated. Oh, by the way, here's a big, that's over. And here I am taxiing the airplane back to the little hangar. And that stopped. Anyway, they said, no, you're flying an airplane. Oh, I'm flying a powered hang glider. Well, make a long story short, I realized I did not have the money to fight the FAA in court. And Jack Cox of the EAA, as well as the guy from the FAA, Blackburn was his name, convinced me it's not that hard to certificate your airplane as a whole. And it really wasn't. So I ended up getting numbers, registration on the machine. This was before Part 103. 65131, N65131. And I got my student pilot's license and got checked off to solo this machine. How did my instructor solo me? He watched me from the ground make another circuit just like you saw. And he said, well, you lived through it? Here you are. So, anyway, now, I've got this movie here where you can see me actually fly with me in the not so good old days. All right, and by the way, I've got a swing up here, swing seat attached by a rubber band to the front spar. I get my feet up and eventually reach forward and pull the seat back. So now at least I'm sitting on something. I'm not supposed to fall out. I added a harness eventually later that actually kept me attached to the machine. But those are my famous flying pants. 1970s, bell bottoms, striped pants. I always wore them until, I guess, I don't know what happened to them. I wore them out because I didn't want to ruin any other pants. I figured, here's how you fly. You see my hands there, you twist grips to go right or left. It's a two-axis machine. And to go faster, you go forward, you move forward, you go back. Let's go slow down, you come back. and I see that thing in my mouth. It's a safety switch to kill the engine, usually on takeoff. If for some reason you have to abort a takeoff, you're too busy holding on the airplane and to hit a switch. Now, by the way, that's an aluminum bracket, and I have this kind of an open switch there, and if your spit ever gets on the switch and the aluminum bracket, you haven't lived till you got primary voltage through your jaw. Oh, was that fun. And this is the Easyriser and Icarus are very responsive. I think you'll see me make a turn here. You just twist and make the turn. And try to make this a reasonably short flight, so I get it all on one. You see, you're not always holding on there, scratch your nose. And I think I'm about ready for a turn. Let me just see it. Watch the hand. Come on, twist. There's the twist, and there's the turn. It goes about from 45 to 45 in about 2 seconds. So it's responsive enough that it's not hairy, seeming pitch. Well, okay, I had my bit with the FAA. I got my airplane license and so on. One thing I don't have videos of is I was at this point thinking maybe I need some investors in my business, and I arranged a demo. And what happened is it was windy and gusty, and windy and gusty, I shouldn't have flown, but I did, or tried. On takeoff, a gust hit me, and I went up about 50 feet, and the gust promptly stopped. And I need the airplane doesn't normally stall, but when the wind stops, what do you got? And of course the airplane stall, and it does stall, it's just kind of a mush descent at about 250 foot a minute. So it's kind of like you can land it in a full stall. It's something like jumping off a 10-foot ladder with 90 pounds on your back, but you can do it. Anyway, I did this demonstration and ended up, I needed 52 feet to recover. I only had 50 feet. And the nose caught in, and the airplane goes over, the top hits, and all that rotational energy was directed against the back of my spine from the seat. All right. That night, my wife and I went for a little dip in the lake nearby, and we got back to where we were camping, and she saw my back. She says, "Man, you got a big bruise right on top of your butt there." Oh, that's too bad. So I finally get the airplane home, and I said, that still hurts. Maybe I better go to the hospital and have it checked out, which I did. And then I asked the doctor, how bad is the sprain in my back? He said, well, let me tell you about your sprain. Do you know what a compression fracture is? He says, no. I don't know what that is. He said, you take a marshmallow, hold it by the corners, and squeeze it. That's what's happened to 2 of your vertebrae. Now, if you'd have come in here the day of your accident, and by the way, I'd driven 120 miles home in this condition. If you'd have come in on the day of an accident, you'd be in traction probably for the next several months. But since you're walking around, you're not paralyzed, just stay home from work for 2 weeks, don't lift anything, don't do anything hard, and which is what I did. In fact, during those 2 weeks, in order to eat, I couldn't really sit. I had to lean back against the wall, kind of sitting posture, and pull the table to me. So this was like about, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks before I'm supposed to go to Oshkosh. So anyway, I go to Oshkosh in 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm pretty well healed, as it don't have a problem with it, but I probably shouldn't have gone. But they let me come because I've got 10 hours on my machine flying. So here we go, flight at Oshkosh.
Just landed. It's this one right here. Can you read that?
And
Magni gyro.
And it's funny, when I flew at Oshkosh, whenever I was up, here we are. And see, I got the swing seat going there. And I get up, and it was like, from the air, it was looking like somebody took a table with marbles all over it, that's the people, and just tilted it toward the place where I was flying. Never anybody saw anything like this before. And then here's a pretty nice landing. There we go. Alright. And that was the good flight. Now, I did have a flight that is well known. You know, you can have 1,000 good flights, but you have one mess up, and nobody ever forgets it. And I don't think you will either.
See how good she does.
So, here we are at Oshkosh still. And I knew it was going to be windy this day, so I'm only going to have the one flight. And I get up there, and I'm doing what's kind of like a wing over. I speed up, come up, almost like a hammerhead, and I got to thinking, well, I want to show people really how maneuverable it is. I'm just going to really wing it over. Well, I winged it over so much that I got upside down. There I am, upside down. And 1, 2, 3.5 up, and recovered about 50 feet off the ground. Now, I gotta tell you, my one moment of sheer terror was when I was upside down, holding on by my hands, and knowing, don't let go. Because my upper wing was not my lower wing, and that was not good. So, and by the way, like I said before, your mind must go in hyperdrive when you get in these life-threatening, tense situations. Because what I relate to you, it takes 5 minutes to say, and as you saw, it happened only in seconds. My first thought was, don't let go. And then my second thought is, don't turn the engine off yet with the safety switch, because, you know, for all I know, I need the engine to recover. And then I thought to myself, don't wait too long to do something, because what was stable dihedral is now unstable anhedral, and I was concerned that if I start slipping off to the side, I'd start going to the ground, one wing tip first, and then get down there to the point where it would flip perpendicular and collapse by the farm. So do something. So I put my feet forward with the intention of making it like a split S. So we go upside down and around that way. To this day, looking at it, I've looked at it hundreds of times. I can't tell whether I spun forward or whether I might have stalled it and spun backwards. So you be the judge. I think I'll show it again here. I really can't tell. So bottom line is okay, we're running out of time here. Let's see it one more time.
Hey, Patrick.
Come on. I can't speed this up anyway, so. I think this is supposed to take an hour, and I've been talking an hour. Anyway, there we are, getting there. Do that wing over and upside down. Now, I think I'm tumbling forward, but I could be tumbling backwards. But the first tumble I expected, the second tumble, I said, this isn't working. I spit the switch out, and I think the engine was just adding enough energy to the situation that it kept the tumbles going. And I did have some people tell me that though I was spinning, I was not losing altitude so fast that I might have survived had I hit the ground at the right point of the spin. You know, when I'm spinning up instead of into the ground. So that was my claim to fame, Oshkosh. They promptly and correctly grounded me. I had my, I said I think it's necessary and important for this airplane to fly again. You know, so the airplane won't get a bad rap for a stupid, self-taught 10-hour pilot doing things he should not have been doing at Oshkosh. And they gave me. You guys got time for just a little story? All right. When you think of Oshkosh over the years, as I have, you think of Paul Poboresny as our father, which art in Oshkosh. I mean, he ran the show. He was the last word on everything. And probably rightly so. I think the EAA owes so much to him. He deserved his allocate. But at any rate, he usually ran the show and everybody knew it. I'm sure what he says goes. So I asked to plead my case about these tumbles with the board of directors so I could fly again and let people know that the airplane's a good airplane. By the grace of God, by a very strong airplane, I'm here to talk to you guys. Anyway, they set up a meeting the day later, like on a Thursday, or anyway, and my wife and I got the meeting at 10 o'clock. Paul wasn't there. As usual, he's doing something, forgot the meeting. So they called him on the radio and said, we got this meeting, you coming? Oh, yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm just down here. They said, oh, by the way, there's that guy with that kite or whatever you call it, flying. He wants to come in and ask permission to fly again. And the answer is no. And so you could have heard a pin drop. All these board of directors there, you know, my wife and I heard Paul say this. They were embarrassed because I never did get my day in court with Paul or anybody. And I said, and usually I'm a reactionary. I normally would have gotten mad at that. And I said, well, it's your air show. I messed up, and I'm sure they're not going to do it again, but if that's the verdict, that's the verdict. And I said, well, don't tell me what happened. He said, well, then I explained what happened. And I said, believe me, I got a wife, three kids, and 2 dogs and a cat, and I want to be around and enjoy them for a while. I'm not going to do that again. And they took my story, and the day later, they told me I could fly again, which I did on Saturday and I think on Sunday. So this is the one time that Paul either changed his mind or got overridden. Now, I've never heard from anybody to find out which it was, but that was my Beresny story, I guess. I've got one more thing I could show you here, but I'm not going to do it. We're running out of time. If you want to see it, go to YouTube and look up John Moody Air Show. And it's the air show I used to do until I crashed. I can fly. The Easyriser is probably the most forgiving, easy to fly airplane, but I still found a way to crash it and almost kill myself one time, 2004. But anyway, it's one of my air shows, good ones by good announcers. And the announcers will make or break the air show. And I was going to show that, but again, we're running out of time. It's on YouTube, and if you also would like to fly with me, go to YouTube and put up John Moody 360. We had a video, somebody put it on YouTube. We got a 360 camera. It's on the machine. With your cursor, you can move where you're looking. Forward, down, right, left, turn around, watch me, flying, look up. It's really interesting and fun. You can be with me on the airplane. So I was hoping to leave some room for questions. You got any, or if that's pretty much the end of the report.
How many of these are still flying?
How many are still flying? I have no clue. I'll tell you what, there are a lot of kits out there. I think there was like over a couple thousand Easyrisers sold. And of course, typically on home builds and things that are built, rarely more than 50% of anything sold as a kit gets actually completed. So I would think you'd be able to find some out there in boxes never built. I have people call me now and then
Hi, everybody.
looking for stuff.
Sure, come on up. Come on.
And I've gotten stuff sold. Any other questions?
And that's Patrick McGinnis.
Is there somebody scheduled?
What do you think the reaction would have been when you did the tumbles, when you landed and you told him you meant to do that?
Oh, yeah, I should have said, whoa. I was asked that. Did you mean to do that? I said, well, you know, I was practicing that for 6 months. No, I think the yellow spot brown front and the brown spot back would have given away the truth of the matter.
Well, there you have it. I just find it incredible to think that ultralights didn't exist when I was born. I mean, they came long after the airplane was invented back in 1903. So the ultralight is a quite recent phenomenon. And the fact that we can now build one ourselves with common hand tools, which is what we're doing with the Affordaplane, and take off like a bird. So thank you, John Moody. And the moral of the story is we best be back to building. Thank you, John.